President Trump planning to sign an executive order this week supporting a deal that keeps TikTok operating in the U.S. under a new American-led joint venture overseen by Oracle. Joining us right now is Kevin Mayer. He's Kimmel Media's co-CEO. He was also the former CEO of TikTok, was a senior executive, of course, at Disney. And so there is so much to talk to you about. I can't even get over all the headlines. But let's start with TikTok. You lived inside TikTok for a hot minute or so, maybe a little bit more than that.
A little more than a minute, but yeah, not long.
So I'm curious now, when you look at this deal, do you say to yourself, this is going to be a great success? Do you think that people are going to, it sounds like people are going to have to re-download this app. I don't know how you think this is all going to work.
I'm not sure people need to re-download the app, but here's what I understand about the deal, and it's what I read in the press mostly, and I don't have that much insider information, but I'll say this. ByteDance will own less than 20%, so that's good, and that comports with the law, I believe. New investors are coming in. I think they're very high-quality investors. You have Silver Lake Partners, big investor, big private equity firm, Andreessen Horowitz, from what I understand, and most importantly, Oracle. And Oracle seems to be the company that's going to oversee data safety and oversee the algorithm.
Do you believe the Murdochs are going to be part of this, or just on the board?
I don't know. That came in really late, and I don't know if they're actually in it or not.
When you joined the company, did you ever think to yourself that the government, was using this app for nefarious purposes, or would use it for nefarious purposes?
It's very hard for me to say. I was there in 2020. My entire tenure was on Zoom, so it was a very, very awkward moment. But I will say the two concerns that were expressed by the American government were, one, data flowing to the Chinese Communist Party. That's solved now with Oracle taking charge of that perimeter. And I don't think there's any data coming in out of China against that perimeter. I think that's pretty safe. The other was the algorithm itself being used to feed videos to Americans and other Westerners and use it for propaganda. And I think with Oracle's oversight of the algorithm and the separate instances of the algorithm that are going to be part of this deal, I believe that's solved. So I do think
what are the separate instances? I still don't understand it.
Well, as I understand it, and I could be wrong, I think the details are a little bit murky, actually. But I think there's the code that exists in China. They're going to take that same code, move it over to Oracle-supported servers, and then I think the code will be managed separately. And so as improvements happen, some of that code might come from China to the U.S., but if so, it'll be very thoroughly vetted.
No black box in that.
No black, exactly.
Do you believe that the algorithm can be updated and effectively be as good and as effective living in a separate environment run by Oracle as it has by ByteDance? That's sort of
that was a big question 5 years ago, and I was grappling with that when I was CEO of TikTok. I think AI generally, and that algorithm is an AI, curation, recommendation algorithm. It's a little better understood, and people and engineers in the West have been working on AI, and AI is on everyone's lips these days. So do I believe that American engineers have the capability to understand, get underneath the code of that algorithm, and update it and operate it on their own, and maybe have two divergent code bases over time, China versus the U.S.? I do believe that can happen.
Let me switch gears on you for a moment. Put your old Disney hat on for a moment. What did you think when this whole Kimmel situation went down, and what do you think now?
It's a tricky situation, obviously. And if you're Bob Iger, who's a very good friend of mine, who's my mentor for years, and a very courageous CEO as far as I'm concerned, and a great CEO, you're faced with a bit of a tricky time. On the one hand, Sinclair, Nexstar, 70% of your base of local stations, you clear your programming, threatened to not show the Jimmy Kimmel show. On the other hand, Jimmy Kimmel is an old friend and a great talent, and no, I'm sure Bob did not want to take that show off the air. So look, it was a tough call. That's what Bob gets paid to do. I respect him and I respect Jimmy. Now that it's resolved, I hope it just moves forward.
Okay, let me ask you the harder question then. How much of the pressure that was brought to bear on Iger do you believe was political? Which is to say that do you believe that Nexstar, which pulled Kimmel, was doing that because of a view that advertisers and an audience were going to walk away from them, or they were doing that because they were worried that Brendan Carr was not going to approve the transaction to allow them to merge?
The answer is I don't know. I really don't know. I wasn't involved in those discussions. I don't know what Nexstar CEO is thinking. You're right. Both things matter. Was he going to lose an audience?
And both things can be true, by the way.
Both things can be true. I just don't know which they are. But I know Brendan Carr, was interested in this situation, and he has to, approve that merger that they're undertaking.
What do you think about Sinclair? I mean, the other piece of this is, at least thus far, I don't know what will happen tonight, but it doesn't sound like these affiliates are necessarily going to carry Jimmy Kimmel.
That's really going to be up to Sinclair to decide what to do with that.
But you understand better than anybody the dynamic between a Disney and its affiliates and how that works, right? Some of these affiliates, by the way, they need the Super Bowl a year from now. They're going to want certain aspects of what Disney and ABC are providing. But this idea that you can sort of pick and choose off of a Chinese menu, I don't know if that is allowed either.
I think we're back to the 7, what were they, magical creatures, and the Disney, like, look at that bomb of, what was that, Snow? We're talking about, there's a lot of people that aren't going to go to the theme parks because they're MAGA now. They're furious about that. I mean, this is going to be brand damage for Disney if they left them off or if they brought them back. Half the country's going to be mad if they left them off. The other half is going to be mad that they're bringing them back. I think it's a real brand problem.
But Joe, as you're saying, half is going to be angry no matter what you do. So I think Bob just has to do what he thinks is right for the company.